you want the night because they're like coming every day.
This,
Just not for sponsoring next week.
Well,
Letter.
I'll go there or take one up. They have it on the board. And then it'll be here. And you guys want to talk about it. Make sure you see that. Yeah.
all right, we'll go ahead and get started.
Oh, you might want to just stand over there. With the pad on it.
Amy, don't make me move you to the front of the class.
Get loud.
So,
Here's so we've got some fun activity planned for next week. So if you're already coming in to Ignite, if you want to stop in our office before or after, we're doing a poker run every day next week. Best can win prize at the end of the week. I announce it on Monday. So way to get everybody to kind of intermingle and meet the new agents and you to get to know us over at the title.
So you collect the card every day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
is there any alcohol involved?
Yes, 20 minutes a day.
Right.
Say anything about Friday.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
am I supposed to, do you guys know, am I supposed to be monitoring the Zoom too?
You know what? Nobody's really monitored it. Every once in a while you hear.
Okay.
If somebody doesn't turn off their mic, then you'll hear a little.
Well, I just wasn't sure if people are like putting questions or whatever in the Zoom. Okay, is there? Okay, well, hello, everyone on Zoom. If you have questions, I won't know, so sorry. For those of you, Amy, that don't know me, I'm Ross. I've been in the, I'm gonna be saying that a lot. I've been in the business since 2014. I run my own team. Been with Keller Williams for pretty much all of my tenure. I've taught a lot of classes, so the way I operate, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, let me know. If I'm going too fast, also let me know. So yeah, no, I can't. Straight from the brain.
What's that mean?
We are due April 26th with our second. So, yeah. So in addition to being a realtor, I'm also a full-time daddy daycare. So I have to make sure that I'm very efficient and effective at what I do for real estate. Because I have maybe 5 to 10 hours a week to do real estate. So. And I still do a lot of business, which is great. So last session, I believe you guys were talking about knowing the market. Any questions or ahas from that session at all?
Good session.
What was good about it, Kevin?
It's just, we were talking a lot about different ways that people wind up with how they're bringing information to the sellers and that way, how they're then buyers. What the instruments they're using as far as like micro marketing, info sparks, things like that. Just kind of those things that just remind you that there's more ways to get a cat.
Yeah. Anyone else have any ahas or anything? No? Well, today's session is all about defining your value proposition. So in session 1, we mentioned that at the end of our first segment, real estate agent of choice, we would conclude with an action plan. That plan is to design your value proposition. In today's session, we'll discuss what a value proposition is and the benefits of having one. We'll also discuss how to define your own value proposition by uncovering what makes you uniquely qualified to meet your customers' needs. Knowing this, you'll create your value proposition, practice it, and begin to use it in conversations with potential clients. Before we begin, let's hear about progress with the success system. Anyone, see here. Anyone have anything to say about the progress that we've been having with the success system so far? Any challenges anyone's been having? No challenges?
I'm sure.
How so?
Well, I mean, it takes time to do all the calls and, handwritten notes, but I think we've been pretty efficient, but I've definitely not met all the criteria.
Is there something that is taking up your time that's not allowing you to do the criteria?
I think it was like the time that we had to like answer emails and stuff, was really was in my class, so like. That's been taking up the majority of the movie, but yeah, I think having the actual like number has been very helpful, because it's like, no, you have to get 10. So we kind of like.
We've done a lot of mailers in the last 2 days. We've probably mailed out 200.
Wow.
Patches. So that's good, but we printed off that little the checklist on page 311.
Yeah.
And so we have it, so we can try to tally,
Sure.
so we can see what we're doing.
So what is it that you feel like you're falling short on?
Time.
But like you said that you're not meeting all the criteria, which criteria aren't you meeting?
For sure not calling.
How often do you drive a day?
Oh,
How often do you drive a day? For how much time?
20 minutes,
Do you have Bluetooth in your car?
yeah.
Like I said, I'm the master of efficiency because I have to be.
Right.
So if I'm doing anything, I'm thinking, how can I be working on business?
Yeah.
So I understand that it takes time to master that, and I challenge you to do better.
Thank you.
I'm hard on Amy because she needs it, so. Anyone else having challenges that's in the last few days? Everyone else hitting their criteria?
Well, it was nice just because we had these contacts we had to make, and I circled back. You remember when I started, I had called a lot of my previous
Yeah.
business contacts.
Mhm.
Didn't get too far, I think, because I was just starting.
Yeah.
Kinda wait and see. So I added them back in, and one of my calls was, hey, Scott, we're ready. You know what? We're ready to downsize.
Yeah.
So we got an appointment to just kind of walk through to get their house ready. So
Yeah.
it was a great call. Then I just kind of added them in because I knew I had to make some calls.
Yeah.
So.
Efficiency, I love it. I don't like calling people that I don't have to, so.
Mhm.
For some of the newer people, is your pipeline completely full, or what do you think has kind of been challenging you or holding you back from being swamped with appointments?
I'm still working on my list. I take more of a role in helping Jackie,
Sure.
so, but I need to work on mine. Make sure she's always, yesterday she was driving and she was calling people when she was driving. So try to stay on top of her as part of that.
Yeah.
But I need to work with my own also.
Sure.
So that's my goal this afternoon, is to take hours and go through all my contacts, all of my emails, and kids specifically.
Yeah.
Mapped out and start making them out.
And another thing to do while you're taking the time to do that, make sure that all of your contacts are updated with addresses, emails, phone numbers. Because if you're already going through it, why go through it 3-4 times? Do it once, and heck, if you're missing an email, that might give you a reason to reach out to them and make that touch. Another thing I encourage, especially for newer agents, is, if you're struggling putting together a list, who am I going to reach out to? Think of your interests. For me, I'm a big bourbon whiskey guy. So I enjoy doing that. I do a lot of it. And I have a lot of, I don't drink all the time, but I'm involved with different bourbon communities where, even though they're across the country, I'm still making connections because I can still give out referrals. So think of what your interests are. Maybe you're really into grilling. There's probably Facebook groups that you can join of grilling.
Especially like Traeger. That's
Yeah.
very huge.
Yeah. So whatever you're interested in and passionate about, there's a perfect list for you to start reaching out and making contacts with, rather than just cold calling or circle prospect. So anyone else have any ahas or anything regarding the success system challenges? Okay. Was everyone able to meet with their accountability partner? And what are some of your ahas working with your accountability partner?
I was not.
Why not?
missed the accountability partner selection day.
Oh,
Actually, just.
so you're the redheaded stepchild.
I'm looking at this.
Anyone else not have an accountability partner? No? Well, maybe you can join a threesome, Kevin. Yeah.
We have 4 people in our.
Oh, there you go.
Scott. Yeah, Jackie was
Okay.
taking the lead.
Any ahas from meeting with, I'm assuming everyone else met with your accountability partner, any?
No, my accountability partner was teaching that today, so after the class, we just working to connect, so we can connect right around.
Yeah.
And then I just actually trying to get everything done and get my day started, right? Because
Sure.
we haven't been able to connect these last 2 days and I don't see them yet. I'll make it a point to connect today.
Do you have his phone number?
Uh,
Maybe next time you're having coffee break or social media break, just call him up.
So
All right, anything else, accountability wise?
gotta hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. You can, one of the bold laws, even though, you know, it's an easy excuse, but you can have reasons or results. So like Amy, just because I like picking on her, she hasn't made her calls, but she drives 40 minutes a day. You can make easily 8 calls during that time, easily, and be done with it.
See, I'd rather just like slide out.
No, we said,
Slide out.
As long as it's compliant with whatever the do not call list is. Which we will be covering multiple times today. Yeah. All right, so the agenda for today is by end of the day, you'll be equipped to define the meaning of a value proposition, explain the benefits of creating a personalized value proposition, describe what buyers and sellers value the most in their real estate experience. Start thinking about what you'll learn today. Let's consider what questions we might have and what we'd like to learn more about. Find a partner and have a 5-minute conversation about your questions and what you'd like to learn more about. Jot your notes down in your participation guide so that it stays top of mind. So go ahead and find a partner or a group of partners and start jotting down some ideas of what you want to learn today. We'll take 3 minutes or 5 minutes, excuse me.
It's amazing. When it's here, it's so flat. Once in a while, 5% something.
Just everybody has the same integrity, right? It's values. What did I do next year? It's, I'd like to begin. Right now, or. That's just working directly. That gives you around. Don't look at the data. Then it gets done much quicker, then go back and.
Just check. You know, and see what the next to be honest.
Yeah, so I think I should redo this. More.
Right after the call, I was in the jury. And I got this jar. But it was so about that tactile.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. This kind of, that, but I kind of put a little accent. It's just, I like to, I don't know.
Candy.
Well, we have to take it out. Yeah.
All right, if you guys want to start wrapping up. And while we're wrapping up, anyone have any questions that their partner asked that you made you really think, oh yeah, that's a good question, or any questions yourself that you want answered? Yeah.
I just assume everybody knows my value.
Mhm.
Or my integrity.
Ready?
So I assume everybody knows that, so communicating that. That's not.
Hi, boy.
They don't know.
Yeah. So for those of you that couldn't hear Amy, her statement was, our natural tendency is just to assume everyone knows our value proposition. Everyone, we assume that everyone knows why we're the best agent for them. And so it doesn't even cross our brain to tell people what our value proposition might be. So hopefully we can kind of help answer that through this course. Any other questions that really stood out to you guys? I haven't met you guys, but anything stuck out to you guys? You don't have any questions about value proposition, you're an expert.
What's yours?
My value proposition? We'll get there.
Whoa, you have questions.
Yeah, it looks fine. We will get there. Is there anything that you guys want to learn about from today's course?
Just you don't know what you don't know. So
I guess.
Mhm. Yeah,
For me, Ross, it's like. It's just depends, like I know what I stand for, like what my mission is for my business, but I was telling Sam, like, a lot of times, like, I don't know what I can help you with unless I know what you need from me, so based on what they tell me, that's what I want to speak of.
Mhm.
I guess just, I'm gonna listen to you and understand your needs as best as I can to help you out, that's my proposition, I suppose.
Sure. And you don't have to, the expectation is not that you have this super awesome value proposition right now, like it'll develop over days, months, years. I pick on Amy and Kevin a lot because they've been in the business they're dinosaurs, like. A long time, a lot longer than I've been in business.
Yes.
If you can't tell, I have a very sarcastic personality, so. But I mean, not to pick on you guys, like, they probably don't have a super impactful value proposition because it's not on the top of most people's minds. It helps you define the type of people that you're working with. It helps you communicate very easily with potential clients. Is it necessary? No, but it helps out a ton to at least have it honed in, and you can develop it over time. So I'm not expecting, perfection or anything even later today after the session. So let's see here, where were we?
Ross, do you have the QW mission statement or it's the win-win?
I could probably Google it real quick. I don't have that one memorized.
But I think that would be a good one to say right now to give an example.
Weren't you guys supposed to like memorize it?
Oh, yeah, we have a little cheer. Yeah.
It's like your little dance. that we
Yeah.
Do you remember the dance? I remember the field to motivate. There was like
I do.
dance songs that like went with it too. And then
He said he never did
It
it.
was too much like these other people, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
See here.
It's,
Not a win for both.
Live.
Yes,
Thank you, ChatGPT.
way to go. Yes, thank you. Crowdsourced, appreciate it. All right, so as we go through the content today, listen to hear if your question or questions have been answered. And if not, we can always address them and get them answered at the end of the session as well. So we'll start by learning about the value proposition, discussing the benefits of it. Let's begin by understanding what a value proposition is. Knowing what skills and strengths you bring to the table will give you confidence in running and growing your business. Therefore, it is important to know how to express your value when interacting with your clients and potential clients. Let's talk more about what your value proposition is. It is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you, addresses the specific and special needs of the buyers and sellers in your market, states what you will do for your client to earn your commission, or holds you accountable to high standards, or holds you accountable, I should say. Remember that one of our beliefs in the WI4C2 TES is commitment in all things. Your value proposition ultimately is a promise to fulfill your client's needs. Too fast. What are other examples of how your value proposition can align with the WI, that one, the win-win, no or no deal? Yeah, that one.
Sure, like your integrity, right? Like, I feel like when we have to do share duties, we really make sure we're putting the client's interests before ours. So just keep making sure that we stay top of mind with that. That's true to our belief.
Yeah. So for those of you, Lewis is very soft-spoken. He said, just keeping integrity at the forefront and making sure that we are keeping our fiduciary duties to our clients. Anyone else?
Having your license, your integrity of your real estate license. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't make money if we're not licensed.
Right.
Okay, anyone else?
Making it about the client and not the commission.
Yeah. I know that was a big struggle when I first started. Was I had what I call commission breath, and it was extremely apparent. And as soon as, yeah, I mean, I was starting out and I didn't have any closings and I was running out of money and commission breath was a thing. And then as soon as I realized, yeah, I don't give a single F if I sell up this house or not, deals came in left and right because it's extremely apparent. Yeah, good.
How did you overcome that? Like, once you recognized it?
I think it took me a lot longer than it should have. Starting out, it's tough. It's tough to say, I only work with people that I want to work with. It's tough giving up clients. And then as soon as you reach the breaking point and you're like, enough is enough, like I can't do this, and you get rid of a client, it is extremely freeing. And it frees up so much time and effort and mind power that you can actually focus on business that is likely to happen. Mhm,
And I think also that you don't become, you're not so salesy,
mhm,
right? You're not trying, you're just pros and cons of every house, it's not only the pros,
mhm,
and then you are showing, I think, exactly your integrity and being very truthful
mhm.
of your own opinion, because they respect your experience and what you think about it.
All right. Some other possible, answers or things that you can incorporate into your value proposition is like win-win or no deal. You ensure that all who are involved in each real estate transaction will have the best possible outcome, yourself included, so you're not taking advantage of people. I know, like, an example of that is I have a hard time with wholesalers. Are they really doing win-win deals? Because they're making the sellers leave money on the table. Is that really a win-win? I don't know. To each their own, I guess. Customers always come first. You prioritize understanding your client's needs, kind of like what Lewis was talking about, because buying a home is one of the most expensive purchases they will ever make. Equity, opportunities for all. You advocate for underserved populations. So those are just some examples. Let's take a look at this quote from MREA together about the value proposition. Top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. Why do you guys think it is important to define your value proposition?
Because people will understand who you are.
Oh, 1 second, ladies first.
I think if you're asking for 6% or 7% commission, I think you have to be really clear on why you deserve that and when someone is flat fee or anything like that or something. Very important.
Yeah. And I would add to that, your value proposition has to be stronger than their value proposition.
Yeah.
Because the reason why they're offering a flat fee is that's their value proposition.
Yeah.
Because they have nothing else to offer.
And really, if you're working with somebody, they go over their mission statements, and value proposition all the time.
Mhm,
So they actually really, I think they appreciate if you are your own business owner and you have that.
mhm, For sure, yeah. Was it, you're gonna say, Luz?
No, that's culture, right? You're saying that, a lot of these corporate companies, that's the culture that instill in their, I'll try to speak louder, Ross.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Over there.
That fan is loud.
Just so like, for me, the value proposition is like making it clear who you are and what you bring to the table, so they can see the value in what you're offering. And then that conversation doesn't become so much about what the commission is, it's just what you're able to do for them.
Mhm. Fun fact, the only time I've ever been asked about my commission is with family.
Not really.
The only time I've ever been asked, ever.
Do they expect a deal?
Sometimes I also offer babysitting, so yeah, whatever. Preach them. Anyone that hasn't shared yet have any idea of why it's important to define your.
I think it sets you apart too. Because a lot of people don't, they just. Like you were saying, just walk in and, well, I'm a real estate agent, so I should get paid this amount of money. And if they don't bring the value either in their presentation, which is probably the value of that position in the longer form. If you can easily explain what it is that you're bringing. It's just, it puts you above a lot of folks.
Mhm.
They're doing the same job. It's really, and truly, we're all great people. But, and so like, we all bring value, it's just whether that value fits who they are.
Yeah.
And if we want to work with them too.
Yeah, I think that point is especially important too. Like I was mentioning before, it's equally important for them to choose us as us choosing them. Like, oh, go ahead,
And I
Nick.
say, going back to that commission thing, like when it is a discount, flat fee. Like if I'm interviewing with Scott, like, hey, I'd like to sell your house. Like, oh, I really love this flat fee guy that came through. Well, his value proposition is just, it meets your criteria, like, go date and marry him. That's totally cool,
Yeah.
you know?
But wait till something goes wrong, then.
And then we'll be there to save the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
Mhm.
I know that that's not gonna fit my values. And that you only want the best, the cheapest rate, but that's just not me.
Mhm.
So.
Especially on new people, it's hard to be able to describe that up front. You
Mhm.
always hear it at the end, they're going, I couldn't have done this without you. You hear that all the time at the end. They don't know why they needed you up front.
And for me, like, I'm very picky on who I work with. The clients that would drain all of my energy and be a complete headache would be Amy's dream client. Because we're just two opposite ends of the personality spectrum, which is okay. I still love her, she still loves me. We're good. Her nightmare clients are my dream clients, very analytical, introverted, like, are there to do business and make a decision and be done and get on with our lives. That's so, like, if I have someone super bubbly and I know I'm not going to be a good fit for him, rather than draining all my energy and not being able to serve the rest of my clients well, I'll just refer it to someone who I think would be a great fit for them. Still make money, live a lot better life. So referring back to your participant guide, having a value proposition benefits your business in these three ways. Helps your clients understand your value and expertise. Not everyone knows why they should hire an agent for their real estate needs. Sharing your value proposition with your potential client provides them opportunity to see how working with you can make their real estate experience better. Protects your commission. Your value proposition helps you stand out from the competition, and it helps your clients understand what they are paying for. And it builds strong and trusting relationships. Your value proposition is your promise to your client. By keeping your word when working for your client, you earn their trust. Clients who trust you are more likely to hire you again in the future and refer you to their friends and family. And I can say this is 100% true because about 99% of my business is repeat and referral clients. The 1% is open houses that I do maybe 2-3 times a year. I used to do them 8 times a week. So it happens where you stick to your value proposition. You have people that want to work with you for that reason. They continue to come back and they refer you people who also appreciate that value proposition. And it's a great feeling to have, you know. My team and I we average 40 to 50 transactions a year, and I've never once paid for leads, ever. It's all just repeat and referral clients. And when you're working with those people, you already know them, like them, makes your life so much easier and better. It just takes time to build that up. When learning how to define your personal value proposition, it may be helpful to look at examples of value propositions from well-known and successful companies. So why don't you guys go ahead and break into groups of 3 or 4, choose 2 of these examples and discuss what makes these examples successful. Is there something you'd like to add, Amy?
Just.
You said to break out in a group. Just look there.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll go ahead and break into groups of 3 or 4. Pick 2 of these value propositions and discuss why you think that they're effective.
I can work with these. I gotta sign in. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Wow.
Literature, every sign in there. Smart, isn't it? All right. Right.
All right, why don't we go ahead and wrap it up? As people are wrapping it up. Sam, what stood out to you? Which one?
Well, we talked about it, people, but I kind of like.
Sorry, 1 second. Can we come back as a group? Corner group? Go ahead, Sam.
I kind of like State Farm, it's just short and sweet, and like just reading it made you feel good.
Yeah. What made you feel good about it?
Just talking about how, it'll help your life go right. It's like, it's just simple, it's like, oh, it's gonna make my life better and greater. It's not work.
Yeah. Anyone else have a mission statement that was really impactful for them?
We
Kevin.
like Grammarly.
Okay.
Grammarly seemed to be, it talked about exactly what the tool was. You walk away knowing what it is. The other ones were kind of broad or Slack. I still don't know what Slack is. I don't hear it.
I'll send you a picture. Technically seem to be able to make it better.
But that
Instead
doesn't,
of text.
yeah, and it doesn't even, so the saying doesn't.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, it still doesn't tell me what.
Yeah.
Still, it doesn't.
Well, and if State Farm, if everybody didn't know it was an insurance company, that would be what. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, one of our mission value propositions could be here to help life go right.
that could go to any good.
Yeah, good point. All right, so looking back at your participant guide. So far in Ignite, we've discussed your value that is enhanced by being part of Keller Williams. What it means to serve as a fiduciary for your clients and the importance of being a market expert. Let's connect what we have learned so far to your value proposition. How does being a part of the Keller Williams family bolster your personal value proposition? Nick.
I think, being recruited all the time and getting all those phone calls and this and that, like, and hearing about other people coming from other brokerages. The family atmosphere here and the trust and the helpfulness between everyone really backs up what it is that I do as a team myself.
Yeah, and I would echo that. Yeah, I mean, I would echo that where the reason why I will never leave KW is there's no other business model that goes faith, family, business. Zero, that's it. And that's very important to me, where it might not be as important for others. Keller Williams has a lot of different value propositions. It's just a matter of which one works for you. Anyone have anything else that you think Keller Williams helps bolster?
The whole office behind you is.
Yeah.
Of successful.
How does Keller Williams office differ from like Remax's office or Edina office?
And you can see the support, that they're there and they are exhibited.
Yeah, I'd say stuff like Ignite is an example of that.
Training up.
Yeah.
from experience of being in other brokerages, the Realty Group and Coldwell Banker and another KW office before here. And this, the difference between the Coldwell and Realty Group atmosphere that I was in versus Keller Williams versus just a different office in Keller Williams is drastically different. And when you're in a positive environment like that, and it's such a supportive environment that KW provides for their agents with support just in people and our leadership, but our resources that are provided to us for free from Keller Williams and the ones that come with our tech feed, you know, it creates a better mental mindset. It creates a better positivity within ourselves. Our business then expands, our mindset's changed in the way of business too.
Mhm.
And that gets affected, that translates right to our clients. It makes them more at ease, it makes them more confident in the transactions, and we're gonna grow even bigger and better.
Yeah, for sure. I would say another, huge aspect for us is command. It does anything and everything that we could need it to. Streamlines the process, makes it super efficient. And best part is it's all proprietary.
Systems and tools.
What was that?
Systems and tools.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to worry about some other company yanking it from us because we own it fully. There's also no other real estate company that can say that about any of their systems. How does your value proposition relate to serving as a fiduciary for your clients?
The lines,
What was that?
yes, my value proposition aligned with my duties.
Yeah.
We go in with that culture, the numbers,
Mhm.
doing what's right.
I mean, that's the definition of being a fiduciary, right? How does being a market expert add to your value proposition? An example of the, go ahead, Kevin.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence to the transaction. For all parties.
Mhm. A part of my value proposition to my clients is that I know the market so well that things that they never thought to ask, I'm giving them information on. So like if I'm working with a young couple who's engaged, I'll ask them, do you plan on having kids? Whether it's yes or no, I don't really care. Doesn't bother me. However, one thing that if they're not planning on having kids, have you ever thought about the school district that you're planning on buying a house in? No. Well, you should, because it affects future appreciation. And if you're planning on only being in this house for 3 years, you're going to care about appreciation when it comes to resale. So let's make sure to find you a good house in a good school district. Because
Floor plan too.
Yeah. So like, I know the market very, very well, where I can recommend good school districts. I can recommend good floor plans. I can recommend, what areas are seeing better commercial development in terms of retail, shopping, apartment buildings, which also appreciates. I know where future Starbucks are going in. So that I can give like all of that stuff that most buyers and sellers would never even cross their mind to think about. I'm giving them information on. And that's part of my value proposition, where I have such a high success rate of getting repeat clients that call me 2 to 3 years down the road and say, yep, you're right. Do you know why I'm calling? Yeah, because you're ready to move. How did you know? Because it's 2 years since we bought the house. So where are we moving to this time? That's how my conversations go for my listing appointments. Because I prospect 2 to 3, 4 years in advance, depending on what their life goals are. What other knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs do you possess that may help you stand out as an agent?
Team.
What other knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs do you possess that may help you stand out as an agent?
Negotiating the offer.
Can anyone negotiate?
Yeah.
So what makes you stand out?
Showing the buyers how to make their offers look better than the other offers. Having conversations with the agent. You have no idea how much information you can get out of a listing agent about their They sometimes will just come out and right tell you, you should come up a little bit. If I really want to work with somebody, I will do the same thing.
Mhm.
If I think that they're better, I can always get them up a little bit more on my list.
Yeah.
I think also just like going through the provider. Because I think there's so many people that we get offers. for sites. And we're like, they didn't include this, they didn't include wash and dryer, this wash and dryer.
Mhm. Yeah. So is there a succinct way of, if somebody asks you, are you good at negotiating? And you say yes.
I think so. Well, we go through the offer with the company and everything. And then we'll go through very specific parts of like where we can negotiate,
Mhm.
what that looks like. So even when she's showing us, she'll say like, we can include this in, we could ask for this, we can do this inspection. So she's going through the offer already. So when they receive the offer, it's not like
Mhm.
we've never seen it.
So like one thing in a more succinct way, one way that I communicate that to my clients is there's a lot of different strategies that are all situation dependent. Based on the situation, I will recommend 2 or 3 different strategies that you can decide which one we go with. Does that still communicate how I am really good at negotiating, but in a more succinct way and also knowledgeable about my trade? I'm not going through every single strategy because 90% of them won't matter based on the situation, but they know that based on the situation, I'll be giving them 2 or 3 recommendations of how best to proceed, and then they can choose from there. So it's communicating the same thing a lot more succinctly without having their eyes glaze over.
Everybody probably gets asked like, or, wow, how's the market? I hear the market's really bad. We got some examples from the room that people, how they have it. How's the market? Everybody everybody asks.
Go ahead, Nick.
Thing I say is which market? Are you doing home, are you doing houses or?
A lot of people are concerned about the interest rates. Oh, that's what you.
Are you talking about higher end homes or lower?
Mhm.
Oh, just the market in general, what the interest rates are, and then. I'll talk about, I mean, commercial a little bit, but I can also say, higher end homes are doing this, lower end homes really haven't changed, whatever else.
Quick show of hands, who's been in real estate less than a year? I want to hear from one of you guys how you answer that question.
I answer it with, everybody needs a home, you know, everybody's kids are graduating, everybody's downsizing, having more children. And a lot of the banks are aware of that, and so even though the rates may be a little bit higher right now, they're providing lots of options for refinancing in a year or 2.
Mhm.
So you want to find the home you love right now.
Sure.
And then we can worry about the financing. later.
As long as they can afford it now.
Yeah, as long as you can afford it now, we'll always redo that.
You might not be able to afford the house that your dream house at this moment, but it's still better than rent.
Yes.
You were gonna say something?
I got asked this question in most from one of his parents. She says always, well, every market has challenges. This particular one, we have. But I say, there's always opportunity, and at the same time, I feel like I'm learning a lot. Being in this market, I'm glad that I started out in this market because when the market becomes easier, I know that I better assist my clients. Something like that.
Sounds like someone's been listening to Gary Keller's vision speech.
Should ask those parents what their first interest rate was.
Right?
Mine was 8.5.
That's it. For younger agents dealing with a lot of parents, fantastic question to ask. What was your first house interest rate? Oh, 1/3 of what's that now? Interesting. You survived. Maybe not say it like that. I would, but. Another skill, ¿Quién hablas español? another way to stand out, or Arabic. You know, if you speak Arabic or French, or, you know, that's another niche that you can capitalize on. Let's look at some possible ways you can charge up your value propositions with what we have already learned about. The KW value, I have access to the collective knowledge and experience of nearly 200,000 agents worldwide. Fiduciary, I can point you to reputable sources for service providers, handymen, window washers, tax people, financial advisors. Market expert, I can help you price your home to sell because I'm very tuned into the market of the moment. Yeah. What are some of your ahas about the importance of having a strong value proposition? Make sure to write them down in your participant guide too.
We go back.
Yes, please.
Again, if I'm going too fast, just let me know. Who has some ahas for me? Alex, you're awfully quiet.
Four point five.
I know, that's, I don't see it.
I can't help you, sorry.
4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your ahas so far, Alex?
Well, I guess that you said like residential, I could apply to commercial, you can go up your surroundings, like it's there. Notice the 5 minutes, since school is like.
Yeah. Because they still care about, they still have a target market.
Right.
You don't want to be looking for a commercial warehouse in a heavy residential area and vice versa. So, yeah. What are some other ahas?
I like that one too, because it's, you know, the client is focused on this house right here, right now. And you kind of open it up a little bit. Let's think about it 2 years down.
Yeah. One of the, if you don't do buyer's consults, do them. It'll make your life so much easier. And one of the first questions that I do with my buyer's consult is, what are your goals with this house? How long do you plan on living in this house? Because that's going to affect how my recommendations come. If you're looking at something for 2 to 3 years to get established, to build equity, I'm going to recommend you very highly appreciating areas that maybe not be what you're wanting to raise kids in. If it's your forever home, I don't really care about valuations. I don't care about appreciation. I care about your life and how you enjoy it and how you're going to be enjoying it for your future plans. Any other ahas? No? Okay. The next important aspect of designing your value proposition is understanding what matters most to buyers and sellers, so you know how to best position yourself. So referring to your participant guide, understanding what buyers and sellers want out of their real estate experience isn't complex, yet it requires that you know the purpose of real estate. The purpose of real estate is different for buyers and sellers. In the MREA, Gary Keller explains, for buyers, their goal is to find just the right home at the best price in the right time with the least number of problems. He also explains for sellers, their goal is to net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least number of problems. What happens to your client's buying or selling experience if you don't understand the purpose of real estate for buyers and sellers?
Say that again.
What happens to your clients' buying or selling experiences if you don't understand the purpose of why they're doing it?
Frustration.
Unmet expectations.
Yeah, frustration, unmet expectations, what are you saying? Yeah,
It's a very quick way for your clients to see you as having commission breath. If you're not listening to them, they feel like you're not actually keeping their best interest in mind because there's no like connection.
how many of you have had clients say, oh, you're just opening up doors? I have, and then I usually fire those clients. Like, if all I am to you is a door opener, go find one of the 17,000 other agents in the Twin Cities, goodbye. And then more or less they come groveling back, like, oh no, we want to work with you. Why?
They call you for your expertise.
Yeah.
When they're already listed or with another agent.
Mhm.
The best, but then they'll know that they screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't legally give them. They're like, oh, that's your agent.
Yeah. So let's talk about the phrase with the least number of problems, which is important for both buyers and sellers. Sometimes problems will occur. I'd say most of the time problems would occur. Yet with your due diligence, they can be either prevented or minimized. That's a huge one. You know, there's a lot of classes out there called bulletproofing the transaction. Avoiding any kind of issues before they become issues. I've experienced agents that kind of sweep it under the rug, hoping it solves itself, and it usually spirals into something that's unsolvable, where it would have been a very easy solution, just nipping it in the bud and taking care of it right away. So.
I ended up having a transaction that because of that issue, we went a month past our closing date, still ended up having to cancel it in the end. Because the listing side agent and their broker completely checked out of the transaction and not communicating with their sellers or relaying any information. I ended up having the sellers reached out to me personally and with my broker's blessing on it, negotiated the cancellation on both sides for it to actually for us to be able to move on.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. And at the very end of it, the listing side agent texted me, and was like, so, feel bad for your buyers, you know, I wish that you would have been able to get the seller to change their mind. And I'm like, who's your client? You know, I was just in my mind.
Yeah, great example. Another example is, again, I learned the hard way. I was working with buyers. I didn't have a buyer's consultation with them, so I didn't find out their needs and I wasn't able to recommend things. Showed them 60, 70 some houses. Frustrating for everyone. And finally I said to them, this isn't working. Like, this is not working. We need to come back to how I operate my business, do a buyer's consultation, or go find a different agent. And they said, well, we want to work with you, so we'll do this. No joke, the very next showing, we were under contract. Just because of that. So setting the expectations and avoiding hurdles. So like my hurdle there was I didn't do a buyer's consult with them, so I didn't know how to best recommend a house to them. Which is a huge hurdle, and that's why we're seeing all these houses and missing out on good ones.
What is your average number of homes that show your buyer before you go under contract?
4 or less.
It's amazing.
I average showing my buyers 4 or less houses.
Because you just accumulate information.
Yeah, I typically will go out once, show them 3 or 4 houses, and then we will be under contract with one of them.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah, in the back. Yes.
Okay, so how do you deal with clients who are constantly sending you homes that they will see?
Yeah, great question. Is it on the list that I curated for you?
So you have them set up on an auto.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's on that. If they constantly want to see different homes. Yes, I'll just pop up.
Yeah.
How do you control this number? You're not showing. them.
I don't control it to the number. Like I express that up front to them in the buyer's consultation. And when we go over that, like sometimes it's an average, right? Sometimes I show more, sometimes I show 1. The people that go on more showings than 4 with me actually apologize to me profusely for taking so long. I don't make them feel bad. It's just because I do it the way I do it. My clients have the expectation that they should be buying a house within 4 showings.
I think you should teach the buyer consult class.
I have in the past.
I was just gonna ask, it might be too much at the weeds, but do you have like a board that you ask, like, have a form that,
The buyer representation, it came from like the Nikki Ubaldini's Win with Buyers. It's in command.
back to and say.
My buyer presentation is asking them questions and then having them sign the buyer representation. That's my buyer presentation. It's nothing about me. It's nothing about my experience. It's not how many houses I sell. It's all about finding out their goals, their needs, their future needs, their desires, and getting really, really detailed. So like the most impactful question when working with buyers is, who's heard, I want a kitchen with a lot of light? Who's heard that question or that statement? My very first question is, what does that mean to you? You laughed, so what does that mean to you?
It's subjective, those subjective questions.
So to you, what does a lot of light in the kitchen mean?
To me,
Mhm.
but I don't know if you want us.
No, like if you were the buyer, what does that mean to you?
It means the ability to turn on a light switch and maybe a window, that's pretty bright.
Okay, so if there's a one bulb light that's halfway across the room and a small little window, is that sufficient for you?
Yeah.
So what kind of light, what kind of window is important to you? It doesn't matter how they answer.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, they've never thought this critically about it before. And they don't know until they see it, until you ask them these questions. And once they're able to visualize it, you just go out and find it and you're done.
So you're really getting down to the nitty gritty, very specific questions when they're answering this, so you can know specifically what's.
Correct.
Notes.
Yeah. And I do not care how they answer, does not matter, but if you ask 10 people, what does a kitchen with light mean? You're gonna get 10 different answers. And if you're looking for 9 different answers rather than the correct one, you're doing them a disservice.
I suppose that falls under preparation.
Anyone else?
I just had a question about how you, your buyers consultation, are you discussing market, are you going over inventory, interest rates, things like that, or do you skip?
Briefly, I usually give a high level, like right now. If we were looking in November, December, we could probably ask for closing costs, you know, we might be able to wait a day or two. Now? No, market's already changed. We're already in multiple offers. We already have to put our best foot forward. If you see something you like, we're going out there that afternoon. So like that high level, I don't get into the nitty gritty until we're on showings and they're interested in a property, then I'll pull up comps, I'll show them like that more specifics.
Have you noticed that, like when you're asking, like, for example, you gave what, the window light, does that mean there's no inventory, they didn't find a house like that right now, how do you deal with that?
I take what they say to me and I go find it.
Okay.
Expired, door knocking, past clients. Just because it's not on the market doesn't stop me.
Yeah. We'll find it.
Mhm.
Something that I started doing after a client, I said it in one of our better past Ignite sessions this week, but a client that ended up introducing herself to my fiance as my full-time job. After that client, because I showed, over 50 houses to her, and after that, if they were like, hey, I want to see all these houses, and they're constantly sending me things that are coming to the market, or in their auto search. I look at them myself and I go, okay, when I go to schedule that in showing time, I don't look at what's the most efficient project. What I look at is which of these houses, so say there's 5, which of these 5 houses is the best fit for them? Meets all of their needs and some of their wants, like what is the best fit out of these 5 for them? And then I go down, what's the next best fit? Next best fit. So then I let them know at the beginning of our showing tour of those 5 homes that day, I go, hey, I arranged it so the first one we see is the one that I think is the very best fit for what you guys are looking for. We go in and we see the house and we give you feedback afterwards, we go to the next house. And 9 times out of 10, I can be, well, this house doesn't have what that, this one's not as nice as the other.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this, the very first house is gonna be the best fit for you.
Mhm.
And so there's been times where I can't see the last 2 others because they're like, well, it's going down I'm like, I'm aware, that's how I set it up. And so we'll just cancel those two and I'll reschedule for the first one again so they can see it again and oftentimes they end up offering on the first house.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I set that expectation ahead of time and it ended up giving me more time back in my day to where instead of them doing those last two showings, now I'm writing an offer.
Yeah.
Instead of spending time on that,
Mhm.
I've gained back an hour, 2 hours in my day.
The other way I've done something similar for the more analog people, Scott. I'll have the showing printouts. And I'll hold up, like, you know, if you're seeing 8 houses a day, it's hard to keep track of them. You only need to keep track of the top one, right? So after a showing, I'll say, which one do you like better? This one or this one? They'll answer. The one that they don't pick, I crumple up and throw away. They're like, what? You just said you like this one better. Are you buying 2 houses? I mean, I'm cool with that if you are. I don't care. Like, I think you only need one. And it gives them that kind of mentality of, oh yeah, we don't need multiple options. We only need one option. So,
I've also done like nicknames on our houses too. So
Mhm.
if we saw one, like whatever their favorite feature is, that's what we nickname the house as. So
Yeah.
John's been the phrase for the houses too.
Yeah, because it's a fair amount
Mhm.
of remembering.
I've pretty much set a limit to only showing 4 houses because otherwise it's impossible to remember.
I mean.
4 houses at a time.
Given this.
Sometimes, unless you say, you know what, I only have this much time. We're gonna show you the 4 best houses. Are you cool with that? They're gonna say,
From my, so when I moved up there, I had a weekend to look at houses.
Yeah.
And so the realtor that I moved, she was really awesome and she took me and my family.
Yeah.
It's banana.
yeah, see, if you would have worked with me, I would have said, do you want to see all 8 or do you want to see the best 4 for you and your family?
I probably was.
I would have said, well, I only have 2 hours, so we're gonna see 4, and if we need to see more, we can another day. But that's just how I operate my business, and that's how my clients know I operate my business.
And it's okay to give them permission to not to the whole entire house.
Yeah.
I always say, we walk in and you already know that this isn't for you. And like,
Well, there's sometimes where you just see the outside of the house, you know.
exactly, or the
Yeah.
neighbor, or the neighbor wrecks it, you know.
Yeah, you just keep on driving. I don't know. Oh, there we go. All right, so as a real estate agent, what are some possible challenges you can anticipate for your clients and how can you prevent or minimize them?
Setting expectations.
Mhm.
Expect that, for example, a lot of buyers, the first time home buyers didn't have a lot of knowledge about homes, so I try to kind of set the expectations about the inspection, like we're only gonna go after things that are out the safety concerns. Like,
Mhm.
all this little small stuff, it's gonna come up in the inspection report. They're gonna look at the major items. I think in the beginning I wasn't doing that, and they were like, some negotiations were like difficult, right? Especially the last 2 years. So I didn't want to fix anything for the most part.
Yeah.
But just things like that, thinking forward and just educating them and makes things easier.
Yeah.
For sellers, just like, hey, let's make sure that we are getting the house ready, that there's no maintenance things that will come up during an inspection, so let's take care of things up beforehand, just trying to think ahead and spare them headaches.
Yeah. With sellers, I'll elaborate on that. You know, how I operate with them is a lot of times they have pie in the sky thoughts and feelings about what their house is worth and rock bottom expectations of how best to show their house. So I'll usually go to them in the listing presentation and say, if we keep it as is, you know, do a little couple minor things here and there, quick, easy fixes, this is the price. Or if you want to spend 20 grand on the kitchen, 10 grand on the bathroom, fix it up, make it all beautiful, and take 6 months doing that, then we can probably get this price. Which one do you want? They almost always go with the more immediate, less hassle.
I think that's a good point to, it's not all sellers want most amount of money. A lot of times they just want to leave. That's all.
Mhm.
And so I think it's like shot seller, they didn't really want the most, they wanted to sell this.
Well, they want the most amount of money and also sell fastest.
You know, a lot of times they want.
Yeah, and by me giving them the option,
Yeah,
it prevents the hurdle and the challenge for me of trying to price this way higher than it should be and dealing with tons of showings, days on market, frustration for them. So it gives them permission to choose whatever
yeah.
they want. It's like working with a toddler. If you say, do you want this? They're gonna say no. If you say, do you want this or this? That, perfect, done. I know all about that. Yeah, all about that. What are some general strategies you can have in place to prevent or minimize challenges? We've kind of gone through a lot of them, so I'll just kind of run through what they have here. Understand the mindset of buyers and sellers, communicate often with decision makers, spend enough time with your clients. For me, that's the buyer's presentation up front. Usually goes for an hour, hour and a half, but it saves us tens of 20s of hours down the road. Handle or closely oversee the contract to close process, anticipate challenges, take preventative action, and look for creative solutions. So going back to your participant guide, here are the top 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. They are needs analysis, pre-qualification, neighborhood information, home search, make an offer, negotiating to buy, vendor coordination, pre-close preparation, closing, post-closing. The buyer's presentation that I use that's in command has all of these spelled out, where I usually go through these, answer any questions, and then we move into the needs analysis. And that's literally my buyer's presentation. For sellers, they are needs analysis, pricing strategy, property preparation, marketing strategy, receive an offer, negotiating to sell, pre-close, preparation, closing, post-closing. Any questions about these? Fairly self-explaining. All right, so over the next 4 slides, we're going to look at data from the 2021 NAR report on what matters most to buyers and sellers when they hire an agent. Let's look at the buyers and what they want most from a realtor. 52% help finding the right home. A lot of times they'll send you properties or whatever. So like in that example where they choose their top 3 or 4, I'll look through the entire list. And if there's one that I think is a really, really good fit that they haven't chosen, 1 or 2, I'll add them and we'll go see them. And I'd say 75% of the time, they actually make an offer on one of the ones that I recommended. Just because I've seen enough houses, I've seen enough pictures, I can kind of figure out what the house is like without them being able to visualize it. So if they can't visualize it, they're not going to choose it. But that's part of why it's important. If you're newer and you don't have a bunch of clients in, just go look at houses so that you can get to learn layouts, styles, finishes, so that you can make better recommendations. And it very well might turn out that one of the houses that you previewed without a client, you meet a client that's looking and you're like, oh, have you seen 123 Main Street? No. How do you know about that one? Oh, I saw it last week. I think it'd be a good fit. You want to go see it? Do you think that you look like a rock star? Know it all? Yeah, you do. So get out there. Helping buyers negotiate the terms of the sale, 13%. Help with price negotiations, 11%. Other, the other is help with paperwork, what comparable homes are selling for that they're offering on, determining how much home buyer can afford. A lot of times, we do the loan officer's job for them because we have to. Help find and arrange financing, teaching buyers more about the neighborhood or area, help find renters for buyers' property. Keep in mind, these are results from buyers being asked to state the one thing that is most important to them. Most buyers need help with paperwork or learning about their neighborhood. Yet when asked to give just one answer, these are the results. So A lot of them obviously need help with all of it, but this is what's most important to them. So value proposition wise, keep this in mind. How do you appeal to them on what's most important to them? Oh, is that the same slide?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but they both say
okay.
buyers and both-
Yeah. So when asked the most important factor in choosing a real estate agent, these were the top 8 answers from buyers. Honest and trustworthy, 20%. Agents experience, 19%. To me, 81% don't care about your experience. I'd argue that's even higher. Like, even when I was brand new, nobody ever asked me, how long have you been in the business? Never. Nobody asked me, how many houses have I sold? Because when you speak knowledgeably, they don't care. Other is the biggest. So in other, agent is a friend or family, that's 13%. Agent's knowledge of the neighborhood. Agent has caring personality, good listener, timely with responses, 100% accessible because of use of technology. Active in local community, volunteering, association with a particular firm was 1%. Professional designations held by an agent, 1%. They don't care about us. Get over it.
Read the 44%.
Yep. They're a friend or a family member. Is 13% of that. Knowledge of the neighborhood, caring personality, good listener, timely with responses, 100% accessible, active in local community, volunteering, association with a particular firm, professional designations. Oops. So if you resonate with any of these factors, consider including them in your value proposition. Let's practice taking these attributes and putting them into client-centered language. Hopefully you'll get some ideas for when you craft your own value proposition. Select one of the factors buyers value and rephrase it into language that explains its value to the buyer. For example, agent is honest and trustworthy. Could be, you can depend on me to help you make the best decisions, or I will work to serve your best interests. Can anyone rephrase one of these 4 into how we can convert it into like a value proposition? Nick, you're a wordsmith.
Yeah, I was thinking about the experience one. Something like lending our experience to your transaction. Bring our positive experience to our friends' experiences to your friends.
So one thing that I use often is when working with buyers, like again, in my buyer's consultation, one way I phrase agent's experience, I give you permission at any time, if you feel like I'm not the best fit for you, to fire me. And I've never been fired before. Does that show experience? And it also gives them permission to fire me, which for them is a good feeling. Like I'm not forcing them to work with me. But that's one way that I communicate my experience to them. Or on average, I show 4 houses or less before finding you the right house. Another way I show experience. See here. So now that we've looked at buyers, let's look at sellers and what they want most from their agent. Helping price home competitively. Yeah, the percents are up there. Market home to potential buyers. Sell the home within specific time frame. Finding ways to fix up home to sell it for more. Of the other, they have helped find a buyer for the home. Negotiating and dealing with buyers. Helping with paperwork, inspections, preparing for settlement. Help sellers see homes available to purchase. So if they're a sell to buy. Create and post videos to provide tours of my home is 1%. Other is 1%. anything up here that aligns with what they think their value proposition is. Or that also align with what buyers are wanting.
Lots of time frame, lots of paperwork.
Yeah.
Negotiation.
I'd say like setting expectations too. So factors when selecting a real estate agent, reputation of agent is the highest. Agent is honest and trustworthy, which I would argue goes with reputation. Agent is friend or family member, and other. With the other, that's agent's knowledge of the neighborhood, has a caring personality, good listener. Agent's commission is only 4%. Agent's association with a particular firm is 4%. Agent seems 100% accessible because of use of technology is 3%, and professional designations is 1%. So
Where are they finding reputation of the agent outside of
I
you
think-
telling them?
word of mouth, referrals, family members.
And Google reviews.
Yeah, Google reviews. Mhm. Yep.
Social media.
Mhm. One thing I would point out is, again, it's really nothing about us other than our integrity. It's how we can best serve them, I'd say, for both buyers and sellers. Another reason why I don't really have a buyer's presentation or a seller's presentation. When I've done it, you spend 10, 20, 30, 40 hours making it perfect, all beautiful, and then you present it and their eyes glaze over. They do not care. So don't waste your time. Just go out and get business and do business.
I think people mostly care about the process,
Mhm.
the flow chart.
Yeah.
And so I have a flow chart and they're like, no one's ever shown.
Mhm.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Or the time frame of things. People don't know that it takes 45 days once we get off accepted.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important information. That people.
And that's why, like personally, I don't need to recreate the wheel, so I use the buyer's presentation in command. I don't really use any seller's presentation. I go over estimate of proceeds. I go up how to best market their house in terms of fixing it up. Give them the option. Do they want to do this big full, remodel? Do they want to do quick fixes and price it appropriately? And if the numbers make sense, we just sign the listing paperwork and we're done. And I'm on my way.
Something that I suggest to sellers is a free home inspection. I think getting through an inspection, or if you guys can attend someone else's inspection, once they're at that point. I think sometimes getting through that negotiation is some of the hardest part of a transaction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You,
Yeah, I have before I meet with anybody for a consultation, I do a quick phone call, just introduce myself a little bit, see kind of where they're at, a little bit about them, kind of the, like 15-minute rapport with them real quick. And then let them know that, I'd like to sit down and dive into things a little bit further, whether they're selling or buying. And like, hey, I'm gonna grab some contact information from you, I'm gonna send you this questionnaire. What it'll do is send it out via email to them. Like what it'll do is it'll give me kind of an overview of what your values are, what you're looking for, and I'll be able to best use the time for us together face to face more efficiently, because then I kind of know where the talking points should go and what's most important to you guys, and we can get through it a lot faster and get you guys moving in the right direction sooner.
Yeah.
And I've had really good reception for that. Send it over. They fill it out. It's a Google form, so I don't have to get an email when it's filled out. They can export it with my CRM and I have all that information handy right there. So, and then from there, my buyer presentation this week or listing presentation, if we get to whatever those points are to take out the stuff, just glaze over.
yeah. And again, it takes years, and if you don't have these processes in place, don't feel bad. Everyone's got to start somewhere. So the more you learn, the more experience, the more you know what you're comfortable with, and you can tailor it to your own business. So let's take a look at the top response from what sellers consider when choosing an agent: reputation. If you're a new agent, you may wonder if you'll be at a disadvantage because you are still in the early stages of building your reputation as a real estate expert. However, we encourage you to lean on the powerhouse reputation of Keller Williams as you are getting your start. For example, you can tell potential clients KW has the strongest reputation in our market for helping people with their real estate needs in the fastest time frame and with the least number of problems. Or we're the #1 brokerage in the entire world with the most agents and the most volume. Our market center is one of the top producing market centers in the country. And there's 200 some knowledgeable agents where if I don't know the answer, I can call up any one of them at any given time and they can help. Now that we've looked at the trends of what's important for buyers and sellers, what are the differences between what they need? Why do you think those differences exist?
Different goals.
How so?
One's looking to stay and the other one wants to get out.
Those are pretty polar opposites. I would say that usually sellers are also buying, so you have to compartmentalize it, right? Okay, this is our goal here, and this is our goal here. Once we do this goal, the next goal will be, putting ourselves in what we just experienced shoes. And how did that make you feel as a seller? Well, if that made you feel not great, let's probably not do that to these sellers. And we'll have a lot easier time negotiating and whatnot. All right, so next slide. Going back to your participant guide, Keller Williams is committed to adding to your value proposition. In today's market, that means investing in technology that propels your business forward. Being a Keller Williams agent means that the essentials you need to start building your brand and nurturing relationships are available to you as Keller Williams agents. Here are just a few of the features that Command provides for you and your clients. Smart plans, track your contacts and leads with customized intelligence and build deeper, more meaningful relationships with your entire sphere. I would also add to that almost automatically with no extra effort. KW app, an end-to-end consumer app using the power of AI, machine learning, and your expertise to communicate, provide transaction transparency, and remind clients of your value well after they've closed on a home. Agent sites allows contacts to save searches for homes, allows agents to create searches on behalf of contacts and clients. How could you incorporate technology into your value proposition? One example that they give is, with my innovative technology, I meet you where you are. We can handle most of our transactions through your phone or laptop. It's all about convenience for you. In terms of smart plans, there's hundreds and thousands of smart plans out there. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You can pick and choose, you can combine, make it super easy. So if you're stressing about creating a 33 touch, add 4 plans together and you have a 33 touch. Takes 2 seconds. If your contacts list is all updated, you apply it, you're done. And then it gives you a daily task list that you can just check once you've done it. Super quick, easy. Yeah. I'm not a good example of that. Maybe Stephanie, I know Stephanie and Amy are usually.
Well, in our class on Monday, we'll go to your database. So, once we have that tag, then it comes another plan, so we have different plans. So
Yeah.
really, the way you look at your database, is if you treat the clients differently, you got a different pay. So how are you treating your clients? Do you treat these people different than these people? Well, then the smart plan has to fill it. But if you're not treating anyone different, you just have. So it's really just how you want it.
You can tailor it, like you can have birthdays, you can have home anniversary, you can do.
There's so much in there that. I mean, the neighborhood nurse. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the basic ones, and I know there's a lot more. I think we're pretty much just made it.
Yeah.
Mainly because I get matches with what we're doing, what we do.
And I would encourage people, again, you ask 10 different people, you're gonna get 10 different answers. The way I think about it is, how do I want to be communicated with? That's how I'm gonna communicate with my clients. So find the right mix of however you want to be communicated with and do it. And, you know, if that works, great. You can always tweak it. You can always add, you can always subtract, whatever. The KW app, if you guys haven't used it, anytime I travel anywhere in the world, I always like pulling up houses. It's connected to every single MLS in the entire nation, even worldwide. It's super accurate. It shows like neighborhood data. It shows the GPS. Like, we'll be driving down. My wife will say, how much is that house worth? Because she'll see a for sale sign. I'll pull it up because it's based on my GPS data. Oh, that house is worth 1.4 million. Do you want to look at the pictures? Like, it's that fast. It's that easy. And it's a lot of fun. Plus that connects directly to Command and the database. So you can have full-on conversations that are all recorded in the app as well as Command. So whether you're on your phone or a computer, you can keep track of what they're looking at and all that. So it's great. KW app. Agent sites, that's, you know, they can do searches and again, it's all connected to Command just to make our lives easier. What are some of your ahas about what matters most to clients?
You know, you always think about when you're thinking about your experience as a real estate agent, been 2 decades. And, I have all of these different, very cyclical markets that we've gone through and such. And you always think that that's going to be one of their concerns. And I would say less than 2% of the people are concerned about that. They don't, you know, oh, Ben, I certified distressed property expert. I did that in the, you know, the short sale. And all, they don't really give you shit as long as they like the person. That you can come to them with that value added approach. It's not always about your tenure, it's more about your personality. Ability.
Mhm. Yeah.
Spend more time digging deeper into the questions.
Yeah.
Define your, set your own expectations.
Mhm. Yeah. Go ahead.
Don't go too deep into the buyers, you should make it more confident.
Mhm.
The 80-20 rule is to people, especially with consultations, 20% you, 80% them.
I'd argue even less. Maybe 1% me, 99% them.
You just say, I don't know.
I hope by the time that they meet with me that they know.
And I stepped up, and I think the questionnaire is a great thing, because sometimes if there's 2 buyers, they're definitely not even on the same page. So
That's probably the most important thing of, if it's a couple, not to cut you off, but if it's a couple, they are almost never on the same page. And it gives them permission to work it out and figure it out.
I've had 2 buyers, that the survey thing that you had, they filled it out separately.
Mhm.
And then at the very end, the husband's like, I guess I should talk to the wife about all of these. They didn't know that if they were even on the same page.
Yeah.
So, and it just brings up more conversation.
Yeah.
Things that they know.
And I don't do a buyer's consultation unless all decision makers are present.
Yeah.
And by all decision makers. So if, you know, if you guys are working with younger people and their parents are involved, get their butts in the buyer's consultation so that they don't derail you months from now.
Interesting how the quiet one too can be the one.
They're always the decision maker. Mhm.
Well, especially with how diverse our community is and how diverse, the homeowners, soon to be homeowners that we're working with too, depending on their culture and their background. You know, the head of the household might have a very big say in which house they get, even if they're not living there, they're the ones purchasing or buying it. They might be, you know, it's good to know who those decision makers are
Mhm.
and to understand that.
Yeah. Any other ahas? Nick?
I think it was surprising with all of the technology that we have, that they're still relying on us to find them the right one. Like, there's
Mhm.
Zillow and pictures and videos and walkthroughs and all of that, they're still. And what buyers want the most from their agents to help them find the right home, I think. With your buyer consult, that's something I don't do, and it'll probably make my life a lot easier.
You have another new one coming. You're gonna have even less time.
Yeah, super excited.
So in the end, in any presentation, for buyer or seller, you're better off walking in with one page of many questions to draw as much information out of them as possible, as opposed to a 10-page glossy, pretty packet.
Yeah, I don't do pretty. Like, for those of you that don't know me, I'm probably one of the most introverted, unemotional, and analytical people you will ever meet. I don't really care about people's emotions. I'm also not the common realtor. But for me, like, I don't care about myself at all. It's not about me. I got in this business because I enjoy helping people. It's not to make me feel good about myself. So like for me, I don't do paper. So I'll go in and I'll have it pulled up on my laptop and I'll take notes on, WhatsApp or note taker or Google Docs or whatever. So as I'm asking them questions, I'm typing their answers. Mhm. Any other ahas before we move on? And I should qualify it. I do care about people's emotions, but I don't bring it home with me.
I was gonna
That-
say
if that makes sense.
that's kind of a oxy.
Well, I was really concerned that maybe you were a robot on your teaching.
I might be, you never know. AI is really good these days.
Chat GPT.
Yeah. Yeah, Westworld, hello.
And how can you not care? You don't care about feelings, but you care about people. That just seems kind of. opposite.
Yeah, I should say, I don't care about people's emotions towards me.
Oh, towards you.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
just
care.
here in your-
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, what I care about is servicing my clients well and helping provide them for whatever their future is. That's all I care about.
I think you care about people's emotions, just not ours, everyone else.
No, nobody's, yeah. Nothing will affect me. All right. Enough about me. Moving on.
Too much of it.
Yeah. We've covered what a value proposition is. Are we ready, Nick? We've covered what a value proposition is and why we must have one to express the value we provide and the benefit to our customers. We also covered what buyers and sellers have expressed as most important to them. These can be guidelines for how you design your own value proposition. So now we're going to do just that. Yeah, people need like a 5-minute break.
Yes.
Go for it. Yeah, up until 11:05. Oh, sorry. I saw that as a 5. Correct. 10:45. Thank you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones are great.
I mean, it'll come right to my email.
Good. It is me. There will be.
You're in 3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks. I mean, you didn't know that?
I didn't know it was that fast.
I'm having a little player, little girl.
We don't know.
So that's exciting. Are you sure?
Yeah, I know. I know, it's fine.
Make sure you have more than a team.
I mean, I guess you've never, so have you ever seen my child up here? Under my guess.
So I did here before I got here. She was like, so.
Today was.
Right. Exactly. How many rentals you got?
Yeah.
This is my kid.
Oh, yeah. No, oh, so like that.
So it really is.
6-year-old. Yeah. Yeah. Never everyone knows.
So.
Oh, you. Chris.
Right. I've given up. That's what we keep telling my man. I've been out with a buyer. 250.
Non-existent. Yeah.
Jackie's right there.
You can leave.
She does.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
so you're
that's like-
What was that? We go white like mine. Oh.
Alyssa, I'm going to, so I have my like, my notes. I always keep it on here. That I'm in Like. Awareness of making my business safe. My little. Well,
Usually my,
going to school, children, I mean, I'm going to be in one year position.
usually my clients get pissed at. If I don't bring them up. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Her name is Hazel. She's 3, and everybody tells me she looks like a little cabbage patch. She's got a great smile. But my older friends, I know it's fine.
Yeah.
They're like, fine. Do you have any children?
Almost 2-year-old, and then we're due end of April.
In November?
End of April.
Oh, in April.
I was gonna say, you want, yeah.
Please forgive me.
I usually do.
Put one here and.
I figured it would be not so productive bringing her here when I'm teaching.
I mean,
We have a girl right now and it's a boy coming up. So. Michelle.
I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so scared out of that.
I just want.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, so I know Thursdays are a good.
Mhm. Got something on the calendar? That should be fine.
You know.
Yeah.
Hi, Fred. That's so simple here.
How you doing? You have 1 minute.
This is it.
I think you gave me one last time
I did.
Yeah,
Is it?
at the banquet.
Is it member card? Did
Yeah.
I give you a member card? I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. 10:45. See here. Where do we leave off?
You left off at the divine.
Ah, yes, this one. Now that we've learned the basics of the value proposition, we are going to talk about how to define our own. There are 3 steps to defining your value proposition: Identify your knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs that make you qualified to be a great real estate agent. Transform the value you provide and the value of KW and your market center into benefits for your clients. Build your value proposition statement. We will go further into detail over the next 3 slides, and you'll also get the opportunity to start defining your value proposition as we go through each step. So step 1 is defining your value proposition. Asks you to identify your knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs that make you qualified to be a great real estate agent. Excuse me. For your value proposition to resonate in a meaningful way with your clients, it must be aligned with who you are and what your true abilities are. You can break this down into what knowledge do I bring to this job? Perhaps you have a degree in accounting, law, finance, real estate, construction, and you have a great knowledge of homes, home building, renovations, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be knowledge specifically to real estate. So like for me, my background, I have degrees in marketing and entrepreneurship. And I have retail management experience. So I'm very good at managing expectations of timeliness, of setting expectations, effectiveness, customer service is huge. So though that's kind of my background, it doesn't just have to be construction or real estate related. What attitudes am I bringing to this job? Perhaps you consider yourself caring, confident, committed, honest. What skills do I offer? Perhaps you're a tech whiz and you're able to help others learn and use tech, or you're great at negotiating or problem solving. What beliefs do I offer? Equity, integrity, whatever other beliefs you may have. So I think in your participant guide, there's a chart. Go ahead and fill out the chart with attributes that you think that you have. And then circle the attributes that align with what buyers and sellers value. And then star your attributes that show how they stand out as an agent compared to other agents. So go ahead and do that for 2 minutes. I'm seeing some people start to finish up, so go ahead and finish as needed, but I'll continue on. Step 2, transform the value you provide and the value of KW in your market center into benefits for your clients. Your value proposition statement expresses the value you provide in language that makes it relevant to your clients. Think through how your knowledge, attitudes, skills, beliefs can be beneficial to your clients. Many of your life experiences can be relevant to real estate, even if they aren't relevant to real estate, if that makes sense. If you don't see it, look at it from another angle. Even if you haven't articulated it to yourself, you have already used your experience to help others. Perhaps you are a teacher or a little league coach. You have experience in helping others. How did your personal experience make you especially helpful? How could you use it in the future? When considering how to make it real estate relevant, think about what buyers and sellers say are the most important factors to them. Now think through how the value you receive from KW and your market center can be beneficial to your clients. Let's say that your market center averages 99% of listing price. When meeting with a potential client, you could share that statistic with them. However, it does not convey the full scope of your value to your clients. Instead, you can say, you get the best sale price for your home due to my thorough training in negotiation. You can also think about the services you offer that are made faster, more convenient, or more accurate when you use Keller Williams technology, such as Command or the KW app. There should be 2 more charts in your participant guide. First chart is related to the value they provide. The second chart is related to the value that you receive from KW and the market center. So go ahead and fill out those 2 charts. Again, I'll give you 2 minutes. Again, you can keep on finishing up those charts either while I'm talking or later on today as well. Step 3, we'll move on to actually building our value proposition. The strongest value proposition for your client combines the value you offer backed by the value offered by Keller Williams and your market center. Remember that it's not about perfection. Your value proposition will most likely change as you learn new skills and gain more experience as an agent. So you had asked me previously what my value proposition was. I didn't have it written down until this morning, to be honest with you. So it's not perfect. It's still changing. My value proposition oftentimes is how I operate my business, and I explain my value proposition during the buyer's consult, during the listing, consult, whatever it may be. But if I were to have to summarize it, my value proposition would be, I treat your investment as just that, an investment. I take a very analytical approach and provide you with any and all information you may have never even thought to ask about, so that you can make an educated and confident decision in finding your future home. That's my value proposition. And I think it highlights how unique I am as an agent, how analytical the approach that I take. I let them worry about the emotions and the feel of the house, and I take care of the analytical side of things so that they can just focus on how it makes them feel. Because again, I have no feelings, so I don't care. But that, to I think Amy's point earlier, when we're going on showings or listings, like anything I'm concerned about, I point out, because I have a lot of background in remodeling and new construction, in flipping, whatever it may be, so I can point out any future potential issues or costs that they likely are going to experience. so that they can just focus on the land. And I tell them to ignore colors and that's easily changed.
I think that in your value proposition, I think that you always have to remember that your value proposition is always ever changing. You have the static of an analytical guy. There's other attributes that agents will provide in addition to that. That we always incorporate, and it's kind of client specific.
It's not gonna say, okay, that's the client too.
Well, your value proposition shouldn't change because that's how you define your
Their
business.
needs change.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess how you approach your value proposition might change based on the client.
sure. Yeah.
It's, mine is the construction background. I'm very good about investment in dollars and cents, but there might be a old couple that I'm a senior representative as well. Yes, what have you.
Yeah.
where You want to mold that in. The value proposition they have can be in conform
Yeah.
with that.
I would say you can add to your value proposition, but you don't want to be, obviously, value propositions are always changing and, you know, growing with you. But you shouldn't tailor your value proposition to a specific client because that's how you run your business and now your clients are running your business. Does that make sense? You can add to the value proposition and tailor it to them. But like for me, if somebody wants me to be not analytical and not treat their house like an investment, I'm not going to work with them. So, yeah. I don't want you here anyways, so. I'm kidding. So anyone have questions or any ahas about my value proposition? Is there anything that you thought sucked about it? Yeah, I'd agree. I was trying to think of how I can make it more concise. And that's why, you know, it's ever evolving.
There's mission savings value propositions and then catchphrase.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think you covered it.
Yeah. So,
I think that when you're writing your machine in here, that we decide what your, well, like what your value is, what everything should match. You can't just make it. More value proposition there, so you know, they're gonna see that you will.
mhm. Yeah, like I did think about that when I was writing it, and the way I started it. Your investment is just that, an investment. Like I could have left it there. I could have, but it could have been like State Farm. Where it's kind of vague, where if you didn't know State Farm, you don't really know, it could be about anything.
But that first sentence could just be your tag.
Yeah.
At the bottom of your email, what have you, and this is just a little bit
Mhm.
longer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, ahas. So why don't you guys partner up with another person? Each partner should take turns sharing their value proposition and giving each other feedback. So why don't you go ahead and why don't you take 2 minutes to quickly, you know, if you haven't already come up with a value proposition, come up with a value proposition. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll take 3 minutes to discuss with people and share and give constructive feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the basic key line is my job is to guide. First.
I challenge you to make it as concise as possible.
We make real estate simple. Yeah.
How?
Well, that's where I go.
Yeah.
It's back and forth. So I have a flow chart similar. And each time I talk about the five, I think it's only 3 or 5 points.
3 to 5.
3 to 5. I think like seller is like 5, buyer is 3 points.
Sure.
Like find house, negotiate house, buy house.
Trying to.
It's very concise, simple. But then I talk like Ross, you know, I really you look for your public one, behind the scenes.
I'm glad it happened while you were still here. Sorry.
Do you have?
I tried before and I don't, it was,
Just stay through really loud. You'll come in anyway.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then he'll come in.
It doesn't call there. 10 participants.
Wow. I like.
Show me the option.
You made it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I wanna know.
Maybe like fixated
Two
on.
of them are the market center.
Show me today.
Oh, you are not.
No, he wasn't. Gaming Brandon.
Oh.
Would anyone like to volunteer to share what their value proposition is? Sure.
I see that. I'm not gonna go.
But yep, no, agreed. I mean, Ross.
I treat your investment as just that, an investment. I take a very analytical approach to provide you with any knowledge and you may have never even thought to ask about, so that you can make an educated and confident decision in finding your future.
So, when the value proposition, you make real estate simple. By understanding your needs and applying it to business. That's all it's to help you achieve your. Yeah, well, let's see where I was getting at though. I was, you know, I'm a why person, so. I was, next was the next layer, the next layer. Was the growth of the- Slides were- If I was more community.
Why don't we start wrapping things up? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can continue working on it or get with your accountability partner to finish it up. Anyone want to share? Luis?
When's that my schedule? So I just say, I think there's these.
Hey, guys, real quick. We're ready to move on, so you can finish up your value propositions either later on or with your accountability partner. Luis, go ahead.
Time to understand your needs. And provide with a clear and concise.
Sure. So for those of you that didn't hear, Luis's value proposition is he takes the time to understand your needs and provide a clear, concise recommendation. Is that solution? Anyone else want to share? Amy, you want to share?
We have three, we have a mission statement about a vision statement.
So the mission is, we believe that real estate is a local business driven by exceptional client care and grown by our community.
So we do a lot of like. things.
Sure.
And the vision is to make lifelong advocates and have a referral based business, which is my business is 90%. Like, well, same as you, like, really, rookie plans. No, rookie. Oh, rookie, like, what's a
Rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for sharing. Any ahas from the kind of what we've gone over with value proposition and everything?
I've got one ways to go to get it nailed down.
Yeah. Well, and-
There's a lot out there, it's like floating, and I gotta get the going right there.
Yeah.
And then it can change based on the situation. It's not something that's gonna be static.
Mhm. It should be true to your core, and then you can add to it. Is what I would encourage you to look at it. Like, it doesn't have to be done and set in stone. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can change, but don't change it to specific people.
And client expectations versus what they thought they wanted based on your shares.
Mhm. Yeah. Another piece of advice is, maybe every quarter, every year, have a note to review your value proposition. Is this still true? Is it changed? Does it need to be tweaked at all? So like when you're coming up with your yearly goals for the following year, is this still my value proposition? Is this still how I want to run my business? Any other ahas? No? Right, so if we move on. Each day in Ignite, you grow in how you think, feel, act, and implement what you've learned. From learning and ahas, you move toward achievement of your big life. And that's what we're here for, to achieve our big goals. Go ahead and write in your participant guide how you have grown in each of the areas. We'll give you 3 minutes and then people can share how they think they've grown since the start of Ignite.
Truly like. I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is just human phrases. I want to serving the real estate. And so you ask what those extra. What do I trigger you want?
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow, it's like I've been there. Yeah. My biggest thing is I got. Passover. So it's not around. We'll do that.
Yeah. And it's with the bill. Based on today's plan. My mission is to guide you through the providing process, assist you through the phase of work. Anyway, forward on the. Might change that.
That's the hardest. Covered all this stuff, but
Same cities.
you know. That's why it's reassuring people that talk about it, just being absolutely, because I think without it, it's all matter of only achievement. Everybody does to me.
Yeah, brand.
It's just the,
Why don't we start coming back as a group? All right, let's start moving on. Would anyone like to share how they feel that they have changed or grown in any of these areas? Seemed like there was some good discussion.
Well, I really like you talked about, the mindset of, you know, you can't be conviction hungry. You have to kind of like, it doesn't really matter whether or not you sell the house and doing that. What matters is when you create value in their lives, that having that kind of attitude. And I think that was like maybe one of my confidence more when I come in, I'm like, okay, whether or not they sign with me today, it really doesn't matter. The only thing I would listen.
Yep.
I think I struggle with that a lot because I get really anxious when I go into buyer presentations. And sometimes I feel like, you know, I had a different kind of mindset. Just makes it so much easier because then I could actually talk about what I do.
Yeah.
Not just, you know, kind of worry about.
Gotta challenge your mindset even more of, even if they don't sign with you, did you lose that time or did you learn from it? It takes practice, it takes experience to develop how you want to run your business. So when you meet failure, don't think of it as failure. Think of it as knowledge gained and how to improve for the next time so that you have a less likelihood of failing again. What other what other ways do you feel like you've been changed, whether mindsets, feeling, behaviors, tools that you're gonna, yeah, Alex.
I would say about business oriented with like systems out here, and how other people do things, they don't put the career schedule, do the problem, everything. Like, kind of do that already, but the full forms like CRM. I feel like implementing things like that will give you more confidence. Being able to just go out there and remember stuff, you know, not miss things.
I know one thing that I've had to really change my thinking on the past year and a half, you know, I still do work full-time in real estate, but now I also watch my daughter Monday through Friday during the weekday. So how I've been challenged in my thinking is, how can I change 40 hours a week, 50, 60 hours a week into 10 hours a week while still doing the same volume? Have to get really good at systems, really good efficiency. And it's when you put your mind to it. So far this year, I'm on track to do even double what I did all last year. So doesn't have to hold you back. Any other ahas of how you've grown so far this week? Scott?
Well, I think you get it. Now you get some tools here, but you get energized by the group, you know, coming in here too. I was spinning my wheels for a couple months as I was trying to figure out what to do, and just get back in the game and be intentional.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tools and things we're talking about are very intentional. And they're surprisingly effective.
Go figure. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just started last week, so I learned so much.
Yeah.
A lot of lines into.
Yeah, and it's Alyssa, right? What I was telling Alyssa is, it's gonna be a firehouse. Everything that you do, take one or two things, focus on those until you get them down pat, and then you can grow on it. So otherwise, you're gonna become overwhelmed and not do anything and spin your wheels. And so just focus on one or two actual things, get them down where it's just second nature, and then I don't know.
Shadowing agents as well.
Mhm.
One showing. Learn how to show us.
Something that I did really early on is really good advantage on that concept.
Mhm.
And then he would actually ask me like to show me something. Ask like.
So anything that he taught you, throw it completely out the window. No, to Amy's point, when I first started in real estate, the first thing I did was I hunted down the top 10 buyer agents, the top 10 seller agents, the top 10 open house agents, and I picked their brains and I shadowed them. I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything, I just watched them. And probably the most valuable thing that I got was, I'm not doing that. Definitely not doing that. That's stupid. I actually like that one. And so you take the best 10 things and the 10 worst things, and you formulate how you operate your business. Because nobody's perfect. I have my flaws. You could, if you shadow me, you might be like, well, that was really stupid. I'm definitely not doing that. Like, it shouldn't. Some people, you can tell that to me. I don't care. Some people, you might not want to tell them what you do or do not like about how they operate. All right. Yeah. All right. So for the next 2 hours, we're going to work together on our success system. That's what it says. I don't know. I'm just. Yeah. For the next 45 minutes, the success system, which consists of role play conversations, preparing a call list, real play, making the contact and having conversations with as many people as possible, updating your database with information gathered from your conversations and following up on any promises made. Do this immediately after a real play while it's fresh in your mind. These activities are the daily habits of success. We practice them every day and you'll continue with this rhythm for the rest of your career. Use the pages in your participant guide. Let's all work together on these activities and support one another. And I will call time when we are ready to switch activities. So since we apparently went over and have 40 minutes rather than 2 hours, we can go through some of these a little quicker. So this is the checklist that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. So one thing that Amy's gonna do on her way home is call while driving.
I do enough texting and driving. I can call her.
Anyone have questions about the checklist? I think you should all be familiar with it.
Recommend some, do they have originals? So.
I don't. Again, I go back to how I'm communicated with. And if someone writes me a note, I'll read it and then I'll say, that was nice, and then throw it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a way to stay top of mind. Some people, it's super impactful. Should I? Probably, yeah, but I don't. One thing that my wife is really good at is writing notes. One fun idea that she had was we were giving out notes for, I forget what reason, but we had our daughter like scribble on each of them with colored pencils. So like touches like that, where it could be a printed note. And then if you have kids, let them color on it and be like, we were thinking of you or whatever. Was that?
Something is better than nothing, right?
Well, and then I can claim her as an employee and a tax deduction. Boom, let's go. 12 grand saved. It's 12 grand a year,
12 grand.
I believe so.
And you can do a call, yeah.
Mhm.
Shop even more.
Yeah.
All my kids are down there.
Right?
And you can have them model it too, so you can have them like stand outside of a house.
I won't do that to them. So this is the checklist. So assuming no questions. First job of a real estate agent is to lead generate. I'm sure you guys know that. It doesn't matter how you lead generate. A lot of people go to calling because you can do the most volume and get the most contacts. Again, like I mentioned before, especially starting out, if you don't have a list of who to call, think of groups that you're in, think of passions that you have. If you're super into Frisbee golf, go golfing with people you've never golfed with and ask them what they do for work. I guarantee you will start having conversations about real estate. That's one of the easiest questions to ask people is, what do you do for work? Still to this day, I lead generate anywhere I go, whether it's a bar, a brewery, distillery, out at a park. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people. An easy question I can do is, hey, I'm Ross, what do you do for work? I don't say it like that, but I'll work that question into the conversation and they'll say, oh, da, 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 da. And without fail, they'll say, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm a real estate agent. Really? How's the market? Have a couple of facts, stats pulled up. Oh, wow, you're super knowledgeable. Yeah. You know anyone looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate? You'd be surprised how many sales I've gotten from having a beer.
Yeah, that's really.
It's not hard.
How many sales have you got for having the burger?
Actually a handful. Actually a handful, yeah.
Metric.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me how people just because of few basic facts, people assume that you are just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, you don't need to know everything.
But I like that it was like you're top of mind with lead gen, right? Like, you're gonna ask them about.
Mhm.
What they do, like.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Or-
ask you.
If you have kids and activities and you don't have time to lead generate, if you're going to a soccer match or a hockey game, there's going to be other parents there. There's your lead gen. It's not hard to have a real estate conversation with 10 people in a day.
Yeah, last year I was purposely at a barbecue, I was playing dominoes, and I sold. guy at the house.
Yeah.
Right there. They're drinking beer, went down a little, eating food.
Just make sure they're not drinking beers when they sign
I had
contracts.
them not drinking.
Apparently I have to say this verbatim, so bear with me. Today, you're going to make calls to your sphere and people in your database. Before you make any calls or texts, please remember to honor the TCPA and do not call lists, including those of your market center and state. If you have any questions or concerns about this, don't consult me. Sorry. Don't consult your market center or consult your market center or attorney to ensure compliance. Refer to the pages at the beginning of your participant guide for more details. These guidelines are for your protection as well as for the protection of your clients. You can review the importance of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act and do not call restrictions for when you make calls or text to your database. I'm sure you guys have gone over that. I trust that you have, so we will not go over that. All right. A good way to begin to get in the mindset of success and calling your database is to say affirmations. This one in particular is, I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. So turn to someone close to you and practice saying this affirmation.
I engage in conversation. Spirit of contribution. people are happy to be in a relationship.
Me too.
Oh.
We related. Be more than this guy. Yeah.
Going back to the participant guide. There is, I think on page C7. There is a remind them you're in real estate conversation. So it's someone like, I don't know if I have that or not. Yes, on page C7, I guess. Would anyone like to role play the remind them you're in real estate conversation?
Real estate? See starting with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have
So
it.
it was the hello, this is.
Well, so Nick wants to role play, so go ahead,
What?
role play.
Okay. Hey, this is Nick. Do you have a moment? It's been a while. I'd like to apologize for not staying in touch. How have you been, Ross?
No, I don't have a moment. What's this about?
Oh. Just wanted to check in, I was thinking about you on my drive in. How's the family?
Good, growing.
Awesome, growing. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
So what's this about?
Let's just call and check in.
Check in about what?
It's been a long time, man.
It has been, yeah. What's new with you?
So last time we talked, you had just gotten done with a trip to Paris. Oh, gosh, what was that, January or something?
I must have been blackout drunk the entire time. I don't remember it.
I would recommend maybe talking to a therapist.
Everyone has a hangover moment. Everyone's
I-
fine.
We'll say it does sound like you're a little bit busy right now. What do you say I give you a call back at maybe 2:30 this afternoon?
Yeah, 2:30 works great.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Love to catch up. Looking forward to it.
I like being hard on Nick because he can take it. But when you the purpose of role playing is not to just roll over, because that's not realistic. So like when I went overboard.
I actually liked that. Because I like to see like how you would actually overcome that, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that is realistic, that people will be like, okay, well,
Mhm.
what you need.
Oh, we had spam calls. Oh.
Yeah.
That's so true.
You should hear it.
Yeah.
So far, I've gotten, I think, 30 spam calls while teaching just now.
There's a blocker that you guys can download.
I know somebody signed up for health insurance with my phone number and I'm pissed, but whatever.
It was him.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Every day, yeah.
The importance about role play though is to practice it and practice it relatively realistically. Like, yes, you want to go along with it. It's good to give objections so that you're not on the phone for real and stumbling. Like, it's good to have objections. They don't have to be as hard as mine was. But the more you practice role playing, the more it will be second nature. Where if somebody did that to me live on the phone, I think the way Nick transitioned it to, it sounds like you're really busy. Would it be a better time to give you a call at 2:30? Yes, that would be. Because you have to remember, they're not asking you to call. So it's always good to confirm, hey, do you have a minute or whatever before you run into the spiel. And if they're busy and they say, yeah, 2:30 works a lot better, great. And then you call right at 2:30, you just prove to them that you're a man or woman of your word. And, oh, wow, it's 2:30. Yeah, I have time. Yeah. How's it going? And they're just in a lot better mindset. So you can have a lot more fruitful conversation. So that role play on remind them that you're in real estate is usually pretty quick, easy. So if you haven't practiced it before, maybe with your accountability partner or your spouse or whoever, I'd suggest, practicing it a couple times and have them give you some objections.
I think it's already. But like, once you have this memorized as robotic as you might sound,
It doesn't come across that way.
it doesn't come up. But once you have it there, you can get thrown off your course all day long and just come back to it. Like, you have that center stick to come back to. Whichever way he sways you off of, you have that center stick to come back to. If you don't, you're along for the ride, and that's where you get your fun.
Yeah. Great point. So we won't have to do role playing right now, but any questions about role playing? Everyone comfortable with it? It can be very awkward at first. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. So. What's so funny back there?
I told my partner that I was comfortable with her.
HR is not my thing, so. I'm not even. Yeah. That's not one of my strengths. So if you guys have lists, go ahead and start preparing them. When you determine who you'll connect with today before you begin, you'll either write names on a conversation sheet or generate a list from your database of contacts. Take action once you have that planned. When you connect with people through conversation, this is your most valuable activity. Building relationships with people in your database and takes up most of your lead generation time. When you update the contacts in your database, you'll enter additional information you've learned from your conversations and follow up on any commitments you made. So one thing I'd say about this is command is great, even for the more analog people. I think I heard you say that you like print out or handwrite your, which is fine. Like if you need something physical to help you with, I'd still encourage you to enter in your contacts in command because it'll make your life way easier and automate a lot of it. And then if you need something to physical, like one example is somebody will have, if your goal is 10 contacts a day, have a cup with 10 pens in it. And every contact you make, you switch it over to another cup.
He did I like that with the marbles.
Yeah. That way you're not having to do it manually and then also enter it in, or like if you're on vacation and somebody randomly calls you, are you going to bring all your notes with to vacation? Or are you going to pull up command that you have all the notes in? I've literally sold houses in 4 continents. So like you don't have to be here physically to sell houses. I've never been to Australia or Asia or Australia, so that's why it's only 4 continents. But that's that's why I would encourage you, even though you are more analog, is what happens if you're out at a sporting event or whatever it may be, and you don't have your paper stuff handy. That's why it's beneficial to utilize command. And then also with command, when you have them set up on smart plans, you can assign tasks. It literally, like, you don't have to spend time creating your to-do list or your call plan. It literally is there for you. And you don't even have to think about it. You just call them, enter in notes, check it off, and you move on to the next. So helps streamline everything. Any questions about preparing conversation list? The real play activities in the classroom are money-making activities done with the support and guidance of you and other participants. Every day in Ignite, we will spend time in lead generation activity. Review the steps of the activity. Begin with the affirming message. Use the conversations you just practiced to make calls. Suggest a meetup to reconnect. Make notes in your conversation sheet that reflect the outcome of your conversations. Do this for each contact you call. You'll enter these in command later. So why don't we spend the next, say, 10 minutes and start making calls. And we can come back at 11:50. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Get to it. And remember, with lead generation, I consider lead generation texting, emailing, calling. If you're planning on doing lead generation while driving or, later on at a bar or whatever, like, as long as you have it planned out and you're purposeful about it, to me, that's lead generation.
I was gonna tell you, Luis, Ross, this, because you might not know this, but you actually helped me get one of my first sales.
You're welcome.
So do you remember if I was?
No, because I didn't get paid for it.
Sometimes I get distracted. I wonder if you remember what you'd say. I'd sometimes be distracted and yakking with people in the media center there. If you'd be walking by, you know, or would you usually say?
If you're in the office, you're not making sales.
Well, you'd say, have you sold a house yet? I think.
Oh, yeah.
You always did.
Have you sold a house yet today?
Just sell a house yet today? And I remember I got kind of ticked. Then I went back in my office and I got somebody that went, yeah, they were looking in the Woodbury. That was my first Colby Lake was.
You don't sell houses talking to other realtors.
Yeah. So I kind of had a vernacular before his name when I first read my office. Then I've seen his praise.
I usually have an effect on people.
Yeah, you said something like, hey, I sold a house. I'm sure they're on the call.
Yeah.
That was my first sale.
So have you sold a house yet today, Scott?
No, I haven't.
I call you Scott.
Something in school, break the businesses or something. We really have a battery for it. So, it's one house. Yes.
Now they would.
Oh, they will, they will. They will come in.
Oh, really?
I used to stand down. Oh, but I can take the grass out. I'll start to see if you want to go grab some food. Like that, place right there, yeah, but like, if you got some hour, give it what, like 12:30? I have to text the address and then I'll just go it. Oh, okay. Oh, they got those there. They're getting them like that, man, or rice. They're just good. Earlier. I bet. All right, I'll probably look. So like guys. Oh, lunch. Well, that's. Should be purposeful, man. Don't take a lot of lunch. No. It's important. I forgot. How much? I watch. Listen to a lot of podcasts. These like different habits. A lot of it's about. Sure, how you're saying. Absolutely. Right. So you think that. Right. Yeah. You think back to like a movie you watch. Like, movie was good. Well, yeah. What happened? That's not really. I just like yeah, or like so. I mean, I guess it's just urge. You are no, tomorrow I have. It's in my office. I'm ready to get it. Yeah, but I had a girl that can do it. Yeah, well, my brother actually too. It's like I have people who can do it. She doesn't understand it. I just. Because I got a suit. He's got good legs. Yeah, because. You know, it's like I want to make these screen certain she's like I can kind of like see the big picture. So that's more. Sure. I got the little. Usually what we've been thinking is like the one I just. They're all that is so good. If you can take the movie and then I'll take that. I'll take it. Yeah. So yeah. It's just. Never been. Yeah, good. I guess, yeah. Realize we don't feel like that, that's a normal feeling, but just go on with it. I keep that long. Yeah. You said you work out, right? You gotta go to work. That's it. A lot of times. Six, seven. This guy there. It's probably like they're mostly to actually versus the future. Yeah. So they have a better chance in the house. Yeah, we just have the evictions that I love. This is very close. But I actually know that there's no so. Yeah, it's a big change. What's that? That's it. Yeah, it's right on the other side. Really nice, but. Yeah. But you know, is that how many people are in? It's two loans, so. Oh, yeah. Trying to, yeah, it's like it's called crack, so it's really for like. So they have like a check upstairs, they have downstairs, it's upstairs, it's one here. Well, like, they saw that you're age and how they upstairs. Doesn't really matter, that's just kind of what it's like. Upstairs, they'll play like. Keys, music, or whatever. That's the same. And in the light room, there's a shading. Just make sure that you know. No, you know, it's like I graduated with that. So I don't know the parents. That's talking. Maybe. This is both able back. It's just like kids. They had a little, that's very versus the thing that they put. This is person, that got so it's crazy. I was just where the location of your text is. Especially in jail. A lot of people go there. That's a good idea. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Good idea. There's like. So, oh yeah. Is how it works. Yeah. That's all you can do, you know, they might have to wait it down. This is great. Yeah, there's a team. That's the next thing. I think that's what you want.
We got 1 minute left, so go ahead and start finishing up what you're working on.
It's like, really you start.
So you have your own team now then?
Just with Andy.
Yeah. One thing I'll point out for you, in command, when you're working with contacts, I don't know if Ann will have this functionality or not.
Okay.
You can have your own specific database, and then you can have your team database.
Oh, okay.
It can be very confusing. You know, like if you know that you put someone in there, but then you can't find it, like you're in the wrong database.
Okay.
So like the way I have my team structured is my own personal database, that you know, personal database. And then any transactions is when I put the team, and I enter them into the team database. Okay. So like, if I have Bill Smith in my personal contacts, and they're selling a house, I'll switch them over to team database. Because that's where all. Sure. Is on it, so. Your team members don't have to worry about this, just team leader. So like the way that you switch is, I think it's like right here. So if you click up here, like I said, with Ann, it doesn't have the option. It doesn't.
Right.
But it says, you know, Ann Clarity's contacts, or in my case, homeowner Lucia contacts. So like if I see one. Right, you just.
Team between the two.
Yeah, okay, because like all of your agents transactions will be accessible by you,
Right.
but it has to be in the team database. So just a heads up.
No, I appreciate that.
All right. What were people's results? Anyone get a hold of anyone? I heard. What was that? Yeah, which is fine.
Got a lunch meeting.
Lunch meeting.
I'd be able to talk to a couple of clients.
Nice.
So
Good work. What are you gonna discuss on the lunch meeting?
I'm just gonna catch up with him, literally to see how he's doing.
Yeah.
And see what he's got planned this year. Nothing. Just, I'm gonna talk about real estate really, because he knows I'm in real estate, but we're just gonna nurture that friendship.
Sure.
Relationship.
But you said he has something to tell.
I've talked to him in the past about selling, and I just wanna see where he's at right now with that.
Sure. Do you know what his situation is? Like, why is he even looking to sell?
I think he's out, he bought a house, but like 8 years ago.
Mhm.
It's like a renter and they bought.
Yeah.
I think his family's growing.
Okay.
Kids are getting a little bit older. And I feel like he needs a little bit more room now.
Sure.
So,
Do you know why he's wanting to wait or do something now? It's probably what I'd focus on.
yeah, I just want to find that motivation.
Because if he's looking to wait just for whatever reason, he's probably gonna run into higher interest rates. He's probably gonna run into higher sales prices. If he's busting at the seams right now, is he willing to be there for another 3-4 years? Or should they just do something now and life will be better? What other results do people have?
Yeah, I'd be able to talk to one of my coworker,
Yeah,
long time, finally. Down.
yeah,
And they were on the way to Wisconsin, Dells.
Mhm.
Good time to talk.
yeah. They have a long drive ahead of them.
So, yeah, I mean, she said, for sure, if they have planned to do it, but the credit card is bad.
Mhm.
But they are working on the credit card as soon as that happens. She said, I saw you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know you are good and.
So what I would do in that situation? So you're planning on purchasing sometime in the next year or two, or selling, okay, but they're working at, are they buying then too?
Yeah.
Because they're working on their credit.
Yeah. And they.
So what I would do with them is, great, so you're planning on making a move sometime in the next year or whenever your credit score is. Why don't we just go ahead and meet now? And so that while we're waiting, you can take care of these steps so that once you're ready, we're not starting from scratch.
It's gonna be the next follow-up.
Yeah.
The first follow-up, the first one was after many years, I didn't want to talk about the business. She brought it up
Sure.
and then I started,
Yeah.
talk about it.
The goal of any conversation is to always set an appointment. for example, I've had people come into my open house that I've never met before, just talking with them, they're looking at getting ideas of how best to stage their house. You want me to come over to your house and give you ideas of how to best prepare it? I don't care if you're thinking a year or 2 years down the road. Like, it's no obligation to you to list but I'm happy to come over and give you recommendations of what projects are worthwhile doing.
Probably, you're right, probably gonna text her.
Yeah. So like, don't let their excuses ever prevent you from setting the appointment. Always figure out, how can this appointment benefit you, the clients? And then spin it that way. So like, if you're building credit, great, once your credit's ready, why don't we just go ahead and do a buyer's consultation now, so I can find out exactly what you're looking for, so that once your credit's ready, we can make it a super easy process for you and find you the perfect home. Do you think anyone's ever going to say no to that? Most people are going to be like, but we're not ready yet. That's fine. I'm just trying to help us be prepared and ready, so that once you are ready, we're not missing out on great properties. They're like, you do that for me? I guess, sure.
The other thing too, with telling some contribution to add to that, is if they're specifically looking at building their credit, ask them, do you have a goal in mind with your credit? Do you have a plan set up? Or, have you talked with maybe a lender and talk about what you're hoping to achieve when you're ready? Because obviously, your credit's not where it needs to be right now. But do you know where it actually needs to be? Because a lot of people think they have to have more down payment than they actually need, have to pay off more debt than they actually do to qualify, have to have a credit score higher than they actually do. A lot of people, it's a lack of information. So if you're able to also come from value and contribution with, hey, let's get you at least to talk with a lender, somebody, or a credit specialist, somebody that can point you in the right direction, so that the things that you're doing to improve your credit are giving you the most impact on your credit in a positive way as fast as possible, so you can actually start seeing that improvement. And let's see if we can get you where you need to be, maybe sooner than you thought you were going to be able to. Or maybe you're doing things that aren't actually going to be as beneficial as some other things. Sometimes those conversations can go really far as well. I have detailed credit and finance conversations with my clients because of my background. I'm comfortable with that. Not every agent is, so stay within your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Leverage your partners, but I have a lot of those conversations with clients to get them to the right lender, the right credit specialist, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To get them
Real quick, just because we're running short on time. If you guys aren't familiar, this is kw.agent.com. They wanted me to point out how to add contacts to your database and add notes and tasks and all that. So this is the home screen that you would see when you first log into your command profile. Tasks and everything. So if you set up smart plans or call lists, or it'll be literally right here. And once you're done with it, you check it off and it goes to the next one. To add contacts, you go right up here to contacts. And then if you're adding a new contact, you just click right here, add contacts. I encourage you, when you're adding them, hopefully you'll have their email, their address, their phone number, any way to contact them, who they're married to or kids or whatever. Let's say we want to go in and add something. If you're good at putting in notes, you can literally click on this tab for a specific person, and it will give you a chronological order of any notes. So people will call me from 2 years ago and say, hey, Ross, it's so-and-so. Do you remember who I am? Yeah, I met you at this place. You have, like, how are your kids doing? They're probably 7 years old by now. How did you remember that? You just really stood out to you. You stood out to me. I don't know. Like, what can I do for you? That kind of being able to have that conversation with them anywhere in the world is super impactful, and that's a client for life. So that's why it's so important to add notes right here. You can also add tasks. So if you want to add a follow-up, like if you have a conversation with them and they say, call me at 2:30, you can add a task to call them at 2:30. It'll pop up, it'll give you an alert at 2:30. You click a button and it calls. It's not rocket science. So you can do a lot with these. It'll show you what smart plans they're in, if they're a buyer or a seller, like an active transaction. All the opportunities are right here. So it's a great way to make your life easier. Then we can just kind of skip to,
Can I see a quick question?
yeah,
I love hearing the different tags that you all use. What are some more common ones that you like to tag people?
buyer, seller. Some people will do, you know, do the database too. So they'll do like A and D based on their last names or whatever it is. So they can just literally click one button and it pulls up everyone that they're supposed to call during that quarter or whatever. Could be like what tags I've used are open house, past client, referral client, high school, college, so that I can remember like where I met them from, or neighborhood, or, you know, it really depends on what makes sense to you and how you want to classify them. Some people do A buyer, B buyer, C buyer, A buyer or A seller, B seller, etc. So
How many contacts do you have in your list?
I don't know, probably 4,000 to 5,000, somewhere around there.
Gives you about 50 deals a week.
But I'm not the example to, like, I'm not good at my database. Most of my business is them calling me and me answering my phone and then selling them a house.
How many do you
Just
have?
imagine how much more business if you wanted to get out of
Yeah.
that 6,000.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
How
It's a lot.
many do you
That's me, 300 right now, and I sold 15 last year, but they say that 200 mark, that's why I'm trying to stress this to you guys. Add damn contacts, you get 200 contacts, you're gonna get about GCI like 70 to 120, like, there's a number, there's numbers that you can measure with your demand and how many contacts.
Yeah. If you do this really well and automate it, to Luis's point, like, I could sell a lot more if I wanted to. I don't necessarily want to. And also I can provide more transactions to my team members too. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How many people do you have in your team, Russ?
Three other agents right now.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. So the topic for tomorrow is generate your leads. They'll move on to lead generation segment of Ignite. I encourage you guys to continue doing your daily success system, whether it's now or this evening, you know. Another thing I'd recommend you doing, if for some reason you can't get a hold of someone by phone, switch up how you contact them, text them, email them, message them on Facebook, message them on Instagram. So I usually do a rotation of, you know, I call, I text, I email, I Facebook. And then I call, text, because until you talk to them, you don't really know what their preferred method of contact is. Any other final ahas? I know we're a little bit over, so sorry about that. Any other questions in general? I don't know if you guys are sitting here or go sell houses.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Moss.